there's a shock twist in the Antony situation. Erik Ten Hag desperately needs a resolution in the Manchester United takeover saga, and Scott McTominay linked to Bayern Munich again. These are all the things we will discuss on today's show, but before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. So let's start off with this Antony update. Now, this is coming out from the Telegraph in the UK today, saying that apparently Manchester United were unaware that a police report for an alleged assault on a woman had been filed against Antony more than 3 months before the club signed him from Ajax. It goes on to say that United say they carried out due diligence checks, as they do on all transfer targets, before signing him, but that their investigation unearthed no evidence of any domestic abuse allegations or police involvement. Now, this is coming out from James Ducker in the Telegraph this morning, and it was a two-piece story. The first piece was saying that apparently there was already a police report lodged in Brazil against Antony 3 months before Manchester United signed him for £85 million last summer. Now, obviously, Manchester United have quickly come out saying that they were unaware of this and they didn't know and all the rest of it. But the thing that I have to ask you is, how did Manchester United not do their due diligence checks properly? If a police report was submitted against Antony, right, 3 months before he joins Manchester United, why the hell did they buy him? Like, what were these checks that were done? The fact that these stories are coming out now, it just makes the situation even worse. The fact that this was going on before he even joined Manchester United, it was going on at Ajax. It makes you think about the Jadon Sancho situation as well. You know, we have this situation with Sancho and people are thinking, oh, maybe this is the first time. And then you get stories coming out from Dortmund saying it happened in Dortmund. You get stories from Manchester City saying it happened in City. What are these checks that Manchester United do when they bring players in? You know, you look at Rasmus Højlund, they signed him when he was injured. They look at Sofian Amrabat, they sign him and he's injured. Like, what are the checks that are being done? And this is just another prime example of how badly the club's being run and how desperate we are for new owners. The fact that they signed somebody for £85 million, who 3 months before they signed him had a police report against him for domestic abuse against, you know, allegedly domestic abuse against somebody. I mean, how does anybody be that stupid to go and buy somebody who has a police report against them, or is even too stupid to be able to find the report in the first place? It completely baffles me. I do not understand how Manchester United can be so incompetent, but it just, in some ways, backs up my argument of Erik Ten Hag isn't the problem here for me. It's, you know, it's the actual people behind the club. It's the people who are doing all of the legwork, you know, the directors of football, the CEO, the owners, the scouts, all the rest of it. The people whose jobs it are to do these types of checks. The people whose jobs it is to check that these people are the right fits for Manchester United, that they have the right mentality. We don't have a certain fit of profile player that we need at Manchester United. Brighton, they know exactly what kind of players they need. Manchester United just sign any random person just based on whether they'll sell shirts or not. And that's the black and white of it. And that's why teams like Brighton succeed. And that's why Manchester United don't succeed. We bring in people who think they're superstars, who aren't even very good. We pay them ridiculous contracts. They then lose all motivation. And then we're stuck in the situation we are now. But do let me know in the comment section what you think about this Antony story. Obviously, it's completely blown my head open today. As I said, it's coming from James Ducker, who is a good journalist in the UK. He reports for the Telegraph. And Manchester United have apparently said that they were unaware of this police report, even though it has been said there was a police report. Let me know in the comment section what you think about that one. Obviously, it's not the best bit of news, and let's move on to the next story. Let's talk about Scott McTominay really, really quickly. Now, this is coming out from a journalist in the UK this morning saying that apparently Scott McTominay is still a target for Bayern Munich in January. He features prominently on Thomas Tuchel's wanted list. Now, apparently Paulinho has just signed a new contract until 2024 on higher wages. So Paulinho's on a new contract. Obviously, he was the #1 target for Bayern Munich over the summer. We know that Bayern were interested in Scott McTominay in the final 2 days of the window. I don't understand why. I mean, they're more than welcome to him, but after seeing him against Brighton yesterday, he was absolutely awful. It was like he wasn't even on the pitch. So I don't see what Thomas Tuchel sees in him personally, but if they're willing to come and buy him for 30, 40, 50 million, whatever it might be, probably somewhere around 30 million realistically, I would bite their hand off. I would 100% get rid of him. Yes, he's from the youth academy. Yes, he supposedly knows what it means to play for Manchester United, but I don't think that really makes much difference anymore, does it? He's not good enough. We need to get rid of him and bring in somebody better. But let me know in the comment section what you think about this Scott McTominay story. Do you think this is a player you can see at Bayern Munich? Again, there's lots and lots of stories floating around saying that Bayern are interested in him and that Thomas Tuchel really wants him in January. Let me know what your thoughts are. For me, if we can get 30 to 40 million for him, I'll take it any day of the week. And let me know what your thoughts are. Now, the next bit of the show, I want to focus on Erik Ten Hag and on the takeover. So Alan Shearer was talking on Match of the Day last night, and I thought this was interesting because a lot of the press in the UK usually just jump on the manager immediately. That seems to be the most common thing. People who don't really seem that intelligent or that knowledgeable about football, they're given the best paid jobs. They're on BBC, they're on BT Sports, TNT Sports, whatever it's called now, etc. And they just come out saying, "Oh, sack the manager, he's not good enough," right? But Alan Shearer came out with something that I thought was really interesting and I wanted to bring into the show. So Alan Shearer said last night, "I feel really sorry for Ten Hag. He needs to know, the fan needs to know, is the club for sale? All the problems at Manchester United come from the top." And you know what? I applaud you, Alan Shearer, because the amount of people I'm seeing on TalkSport and other of those types of media today just saying, "Get Ten Hag out, he's not good enough, get rid of him," in this kind of, it is mainstream media, but it's not as, respectable as say as like the BBC or Match of the Day, and they're all just like, Gabby Agbonlahor on TalkSport, like, "Oh yeah, he's out of his depth, he needs to go," and all the rest of it. I thought it was really interesting to see Alan Shearer on national TV come out with this approach, which I completely 100% agree with. I don't think sacking Ten Hag is the solution. We need to know what's going on with the takeover. We need a resolution, and we need it now. We've had this for 8 months, is it now? It's absolutely ridiculous. And people who say sack the manager, I don't see the tactics, I don't see any of that. Okay, I get it, I get you're frustrated, but you need to actually look at what's going on behind the scenes. You need to look at who the scouts are, who the directors of football are, who the CEOs are. The last 10 years since Sir Alex Ferguson has gone, it's just a rinse and repeat model. Every 1 or 2 years, we sack a manager, we bring in superstar players that doesn't work. Lukaku, Pogba, Alexis Sanchez, Di Maria, the list goes on and on. Ronaldo for the second time. So many people, right, that come in and it just doesn't work. And you can't just blame that on the managers. You can't. That's all down to not having a director of football. It's down to not having proper scouts. We should have got Moises Caicedo. He was at Carrington. We were going to get him for 3 million and Ed Woodward said no and he went to Brighton. That's just one example. Evan Ferguson came to Manchester United for a trial before Brighton signed him that same summer. We said no. All of these examples of how we've, clearly don't have any plan behind the scenes, and that's why we're failing. I obviously am worried about the football we're playing, but until we have new owners, I'm not going to be, sat here saying, "Get Ten Hag out," because I don't think he's the problem. I think it's the people behind the scenes. I think we don't have a plan, we don't have a vision, and he's just trying to put together the pieces of a completely messy puzzle. It's like having a puzzle, but you're missing 50 of the pieces. He can do everything he can to try and build that puzzle, but he's not going to be able to, to bring the success that some of you fans demand in the current setup, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think about that. And finally, I did want to touch on Andre Onana. Obviously, he's been getting a lot of stick over the last couple of days. And I'll be honest, I did say on one of my videos yesterday that I didn't think that he was essential this summer. 50 million euros we spent on him. David De Gea got the Golden Glove last season, was an unbelievable shot stopper. I seen a really interesting stat, all right? So from the first 5 games last season, David De Gea only faced 10 shots on goal in the first 5 games, and he conceded 7. Whereas Onana has faced 29 shots in the first 5 games. So he's faced 3 times the amount of shots that David De Gea faced in the first 5 games last season, right? He saved 20 of those shots and he's let in 9 goals. So when you look at it like that, it's easy to criticize him, and I've criticized him as well. But when I saw this stat, it did kind of open my mind a little bit. I do think that spending all of that money on him when we needed to buy another striker, another midfielder, arguably another centre-back, I think maybe wasn't the right timing for it. But obviously I do want Onana to do well. It's only been 5 games. And when I saw this stat, I did think it was interesting. And I thought I'd bring it into the video because I do like to try and give a fair argument on both sides and not have any player bias or, agenda against people. So let me know how you think about that. And the one thing I will say from that, guys, is it shows how much we miss Rafael Varane, because the fact that we've faced 30 shots or 29 shots, all right, in 5 games versus this time last season we'd only faced 10. That shows that the defence isn't doing their job pretty much, doesn't it? That's all you can boil that down to. The midfield clearly isn't doing the job. Casemiro looks off the pace. McTominay obviously was a ghost yesterday, was pointless even having on the pitch. Lisandro Martinez doesn't look up to it at the moment. Lindelof has always been a bit of a question mark over. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but I do want you guys to let me know in the comment section, do you think the criticism of Andre Onana is fair? Do you think it's just? I think obviously it's not his fault that we signed him, but I think when you look at the stats like this, that he's faced 3 times the amount of shots that David De Gea had faced this time last season, and he's let in 9 goals. And David De Gea let in 7. When you look at it like that, the difference isn't massive, is it? Because if you based it on the same, shot average, if David De Gea had faced 30 shots like Onana had, he would have conceded 21 goals. Does that make sense? If you times the amount, blah, blah, blah. But let me know what your thoughts are on the Antony situation. Let me know what your thoughts are on McTominay to Bayern Munich. Obviously, let me know what your thoughts are on the takeover. Do you blame Erik Ten Hag? Are you Erik Ten Hag out? Obviously, that's up to you. I'm personally not. But let me know in the comment section your thoughts. This has been Daily Red Devil. I've been Kieran. Please do make sure to smash a like and subscribe on your way out, and I'll catch you all later.